Most New Zealanders don't actually want to talk about their feelings. It's not because they're weak or because it's hard, it's just because they don't want to put a burden on other people. They're just too humble.
I think the idea that you can't be vulnerable as a man comes from heaps of small things that you're always being told every day, like the constant man up. Like it becomes normalized.
You need to start looking after your mates. Just ask the question, bro, how you doing, man?
They say toughen up and be a big man. That's all my brothers wanna become. Everybody's like an actor. What's it mean to be a real one?
What it means to be a man in New Zealand is changing. There are more of us talking about our feelings and being open about our lives. This is a 5-part series that looks at the issues affecting young men in New Zealand. I'm Philip, and I'll be chatting with my mates, Liam and Tioe. This is one for the boys. Last year, 654 New Zealanders died from suicide. Nearly 3/4 of those deaths were men.
Dad was actually he was a massive fella and massive pecs, and what he'd do all the time is he'd be able to dance with his pecs, and he'd always say, "You guys keen to see the titty dance?" If he dancing with his pecs like this, just shows, he was a fun fella.
On Boxing Day 2017, Evander's dad took his own life.
To put it lightly, Dad was a hard man. He was probably about in the 100 to 120 kgs, but most of it was muscle. He was one of those fellas who, if there's a problem, you just solve it. And some problems you can't solve just through pushing through them. And a lot of the times, I felt like we needed to, talk a lot more, but he was never the talking type. He was always the person who would just try find, a way around it.
I sat down with my mates Liam and Tioe to talk about our own mental health.
With females, it's the norm to express your feelings to other people, whether it's happiness or sadness. But with men, you can express happiness, that's fine. But with emotions like sadness or depression, it's a completely different story. I feel like the whole aspect of vulnerability and being told to not talk about your feelings, for me, came from just how I was raised, just family. Everyone's opinion is to not talk about it. There'll be instances where I would express my feelings and I was just told to suck it up, toughen up, harden up, be a man about it. Don't let your emotions get to you.
Just seeing males in the media who aren't vulnerable or aren't shown as being vulnerable in movies and film and celebrities, superheroes growing up. Superman, he's not vulnerable.
Dad was like a soldier, massive, almost like alpha male, could lift the most at the gym, could drink the most, but I realized I wasn't the same. I was probably a bit more sensitive. But yeah, once I realized that, I really embraced it and tried to recreate my definition of what alpha male is. In the last couple of years, I felt a lot more fulfilling in my own life growing up and in my own way of trying to, be an older brother and also be a better mate to my friends and how I can actually make my own impact.
Daniel Kerehopa is one of New Zealand's greatest ever surfers.
Hey bro, how's it boys? How's things?
Evander.
DK bro.
The former champ now teaches surfing around the country. Evander and his brother Maui are part of his class.
I never thought I could be this kind of person, helping others. It was never actually in my worldly plan.
DK has had his own share of mental health struggles.
I couldn't manage with the pressures of being a top-end athlete. Maybe that's the reason why I've become who I am. Not from my achievements of greatness of being a champion surfer, but more of the mistakes. I had no job. I lost my family. I lost my sponsors. I lost control of my life. I'll be honest, I wanted to turn the lights out one stage of my life, but there was this little bit of light that was still shining. And it's like a little light, but it was enough for me to choose to brighten that light up. Through that journey, the ocean taught me lessons. I don't see surf lessons as surf lessons. I see it as life lessons.
When DK took us into the water, first off he told us all to hold hands. And we're a bit like, ooh,
Yeah, well, like,
what's going on here?
What
Yeah,
is this gonna be?
He started talking about how it's important to have your mates around,
Yeah.
no matter what the situation is. Like, don't be too cool for school.
It's a reminder of being connected to someone. Because sometimes we're running so fast, we forget what that feeling is like. Just to have someone touch you in the kindest manner, in the most respectful manner. And to me, it's not practiced enough.
For me, that was a real special moment.
Yeah,
And then he
it
goes, you know, sometimes you'll have friends around, sometimes you'll have fake friends around. And what did you say at that point?
I was like, they're called plastic homies, ADK. Yeah, and then he said, everyone get in a circle, hold hands, lie back, relax, and put your legs in the middle.
Yeah.
And then we all just sort of just floated there. And he said, close your eyes. And at that moment, I thought he was just gonna like prank us or something and just leave. but then he just broke us all our hands apart, and then he just started talking about real deep stuff, and I was like, oh.
So the key is just to be open, be honest with your mates. When you get a chance to really let go of everything, you really start listening. And then in that moment of listening, that's when you start throwing things out. Hey, you need to start looking after your mates. Whether they like it or not, just ask the question, bro, how you doing, man?
6 months after his father's death, Evander's 16-year-old brother, Gabriel, also took his own life.
Yeah. I think, yeah, no, he was a cool fella. He's, yeah, no, we grew up, we're pretty much like best mates. He was real popular at 16 years old, had heaps of mates, heaps of love, heaps of friends. Also a bit of a skux deluxe. I think he just struggled dealing with his own identity at the time, trying to find his way about like, how do I be a strong 16-year-old? His goal was to go to the army by 18. He was, like, honestly, one of the softest guys I knew, and I think that's why we got along well. Like, I know that I'm a pretty soft guy compared to most guys, but I embrace it. I guess he didn't really have the opportunity or the experience at 16 with all the other social pressures around him, all the other family pressures about, I guess, what it is like to become a man as well.
Since the late 90s, suicide rates among young men in New Zealand have increased by almost 50%. Just 1 month after his brother passed away, Evander entered a coding competition where he came up with a concept for a new mental health app called Village.
It's an app that helps young people connect to their village, their 5 closest friends, and helps them actually learn the words to communicate their feelings. We don't just wake up one day and go, I know how to talk about this. So we need to teach a new way of talking about your feelings to young people. And it's up to, I guess, parents, friends, etc. So this app is a framework on how to do that. And yeah, we're pretty excited to release it. Yeah, we took out the competition, we won. The best part was we went up on stage, and this for me was an opportunity to just honour my brother, just get all my emotion out for the last couple of months, booked something, and someone had organised the Auckland City Mission to come up and do a haka for the winning team. And so they came, they did a massive haka for us, and for me, being kind of spiritual as well, I just felt like my brother and my dad was there. It was an amazing moment.
Most of the time when I've gone through really deep shit or like really emotional stuff in terms of like depression and all of that, I always used to think that because that was the norm, just to keep it to myself and just try and deal with emotions myself. Eventually I realized that talking to other people is probably the biggest asset, so I went and saw a therapist for a bit. It's such a great way of letting everything out. I feel like you're more of a man if you're more vulnerable. I feel like that makes you more of a man, personally, because that means you're not like suppressing your emotions. That means you're letting it all out on the table for everyone to see.
Like an open book, you know, you have the strength to just be like, this is who I am, you know, regardless of the label being a man or not, but this is me as a person, whether you call me a man or not, you know, this is, I mean, yeah, this is what I consider a man, someone who can just be themselves, you know, stand up for themselves in their own light, not having to worry about exterior factors.
Keeping an eye on your mate sometimes also doesn't mean a conversation. It might be just sitting next to them and just talking stories about the fun things that you both have shared in life. That you're like, why would I want to give this up? You know, storytelling. Especially Māoris, we're good storytellers. Keep the stories coming, you know? That's why we're here. You just keep living. It's a better option.
They say toughen up and be a big man. That's all my brothers wanna become. Everybody's like an actor. What's it mean to be a real one? Put my worries in my palms. Trust that I cannot remain calm. No, I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one.